Alright, here's a new little program. I'm still in chapter 2 of my Head First Java book. And this actually is going to have 3 files. Earlier, I introduced Java by showing you how to make a very small class called dog, and it had 3 instance variables: size, breed, and name, and one method, the bark method. And then we created an object of that class with this dog test file, and we used the public static void main string args as the execution statement that executes the program. We created dog d equals new dog. This is an object. D is the object of the dog class. So once we created the object of the dog class, we were able to use the D with the dot operator and then these different instance variables, the name, breed, and size, and we were able to set those to certain specifics. Name we set to page, breed we set to Akita, and size we set to 40. And then we were also able to use that D with the dot operator and call the bark method. After that, we were able to take the system.out.println and have the output spit my dog's name is plus D name, which we created as page up here, and her breed is, D breed is Akita, and her breed is Akita, and she weighs, and then plus D size, the value is 40, and she weighs 40 pounds. So that was that little class that we did with the tester class, and then after that we did pretty much the same thing with movie, except this time the instance variables were title, genre, and rating, and this time the method was play it, and this time instead of only creating one object of the class, we created 3. So we had that tester class again, public class movie test, with the public static void main string args execution statement, but here, like I said, we create 3 objects. So here we use the name of the class, which is movie. We give it a name, 1 equals new movie, so movie 1 equals new movie, and then we used that 1 with the dot operator to pull out the 3 instance variables, 1.title, 1.genre, 1.rating, and we set it to what we wanted to set it. So the first movie, 1.title, we created as the notebook, 1.genre we created as drama, and 1.rating we created as 5. And we did that 2 more times to create movie 2 and movie 3 objects. And then at the bottom, we said system.out.println, the movies that we created in this movie test file are, and then we just listed 1.title, which remember it's going to be the value. So 1.title was the notebook, 2.title was liar liar, and 3.title was red funnel. So that's how that output is going to be. The movies that we created in this movie test file are, and it's going to name those 3. And then 1.playIt, we used any one of the objects that we created to use the dot operator and call this playIt method. This shows 1.playIt, but we could have just as easily typed 2.playIt or 3.playIt. Now 4.playIt wouldn't work because we never created an object called 4 of the movie class. We only created movie 1, movie 2, and movie 3. We did not create movie 4 equals new movie. So that was basically just a review. This is the new part that actually uses 3 files. We have a short file called public class player, which when we created in Notepad++, we're going to name it player.java. Same thing with this over here. Even though the beginning keywords say public class game launcher, when we create it, it's going to be game launcher.java. And then over here, this is going to be created in Notepad++ as guessgame.java. But they all start off with the keywords public class player when we start typing the code. So I'm going to go over public class player code first really quick. We start off with int number equals 0. Then we have public void guess, and inside that method we have number equals int math random times 10. Then after that we have system.out.println, I'm guessing, and then it's going to concatenate the value of number. Math random is going to create a random number up here. Down here it's going to spit it out in the output window. So that's all there is to this public class player. What exactly does the player class know? Well, it knows its instance variable, it knows number, and what does it do? It's going to do the method of guess number. It's the only two things that player does. Then you've got public class game launcher. So we are going to take our public static void main string args that's going to execute it. Then we're going to have guess game, which is this public class over here. This is the class, but we're going to create an object of that class with, and we're going to call that object game. Guess game game equals new guess game. And so you understand that we're going to use that object name called game, the dot operator, and we're going to use that to call the start game method, which is over here in this class. So we're kind of going from one class and we're picking pieces and parts out of other classes. The classes are talking to each other. So now let's go to this long public class guess game. Well, guess game is going to know the players. And I'm not sure why they split this up, player P1, and then down here, player P1 equals new player, but it's similar to movie 3 equals new movie, but it's taking movie 3 and stopping it there, and then going in another place, and then putting 3 equals new movie. But that's how they did it. For what reason, I don't understand. Player P1 semicolon, player P2 semicolon, player P3 semicolon. Then you've got this method, public void start game, which is going to give us the other half of setting up that object of the class. Of this class, this is the player class. So P1 equals new player, P2 equals new player, and P3 equals new player is all in this method called start game. Then we've got int guess P1 equals 0, int guess P2 equals 0, and int guess P3 equals 0. So we're setting the variable called guess P1 for person 1 and P2 for person 2 and P3 for person 3. We're setting all of the possible guesses to 0 for starters. And then we're creating Boolean variables and we're setting them to false. So we have Boolean P1 is right equals false, because when the game first starts out, the player hasn't made a guess yet, so we're setting their potential guess to false, and if they do guess right by the math random number that gets spit out, then it will be set to true at that point. But since we haven't done that yet, we're setting them all these potential variables to false. So Boolean P2 is right is set to false, and oh, I messed this up. This is supposed to say Boolean P3 is right is set to false. So let me go underneath in the code and see right here. This is where I need to change that. This is only my notes. When I'm putting anything in this head first Java notes.html, that's just so that I can show you in the video in a colorful and bright way the code, especially when there's 2 or 3 classes next to each other that belong together. Otherwise, before I run this program, I'm going to copy and paste all of these into Java files and then run them in the command prompt and hope I did not make major misspellings. Okay, what I'm trying to do now that I fixed that is, oh, you know what? It's not letting me fix it, I think because it's disabled. So let me take the text area disabled off, save it. Now when I refresh it, see, I'm waiting for this to correct itself. See right here, I fixed it. Let me run it again. Launch it in Firefox. Go down to the third section. Player P1, P2, P3. There we go. No, that's not as far as I went. It was down here. Here we go. P1, P2, and P3. Okay, so I fixed that. but I do want to keep this to disabled. So let me Control Z that again. All right, Boolean, Boolean, Boolean. Set all those to false. Now we got int target number. We're creating the target number that's going to be the number that we need to guess in the game is set equal to int, this is casting, math.random times 10. So math.random is going to come up with yet another number, but we're going to cast it into an integer so there's no decimal point. And it's going to set it into this variable called target number. System.out.println. I'm thinking of a number between 0 and 9. That word's going to come out. Then you have a while loop, while true. Well, since you put the true in the parentheses, it's always going to be true. So this is going to keep on looping until we put a break statement to break out of the loop. So while true, system.out.println, number to guess is, and then we're going to concatenate the value of target number. So whatever happens here, whatever math random does and puts it into target number, that value is going to come out right here. The number to guess is, whatever that number is. Then we have P1 dot guess. Oh, I don't want to change that. P2.guess and P3.guess. And that's going to come over here and do this guess method. Int math_random times 10 is going to be set into the variable called number. Guess P1 is going to be set to P1.number. And then system.out.println, player 1 guessed plus guess P1. We're going to do the same thing to guess P2 and the same thing to guess P3. And then we have an if statement. If guess P1 is equal to the target number, then we're going to set PL1 is right to true. Remember, we originally set that variable to false, but if it turns out to be if it turns out to be guessed equal to the target number, then we're going to set it to true. And we're going to do the same thing for the other two players. If guess P2 is equal to the target number, then P2 is going to be equal to 2. And if guess P3 is equal to the target number, then P3 is going to be set to true. Now we have another if condition that's going to ask if P1 is right, if that is true, or if P2 is right, if that is true, or if P3 is right, if that is true. Now again, I needed to change this P2 to a P3, so let me look for that if statement right before we have a winner. Right here. Change that to P3, because when I go to copy and paste this, if I don't have it right, it's not going to run correctly. So let me run this in Firefox again. Go back down to where I'm at. See if I fixed it. Okay, if P1 is right, if the value of that is true, or if P2 is right is true, or if P3 is right is true, then system.out.println will be we have a winner. Next, we're going to say system.out.println player 1 got it right. It's a question that it's going to type out, and then we're going to put in the value plus P1 is right. The value, since this is a Boolean, is going to either come out and it's going to spit out the word true or false. So you're going to see the question if that player got it right, and then you're going to see if true or false follows it. And we do the same thing for system.out. Oh, this is not cool. This is print ln. So I have print 2n and print 3n. That's not right. That needs to be an L for both of those. So I got to go back there. Yeah, right here. Not print 2n, print LN for print line. All right. System print line player 1 got it right, plus P1 is right. Player 2 got it right, plus P2 is right. Player 3 got it right, plus P3 is right. And then finally, system.out.println game is over. And this word right here, break, is going to take us out of that loop. Then you've got an else statement here that says system.out.println players will have to try again. What that means is up here where it's asking the question if any of these Boolean values are true. If any of these are true, then we're going to get all of this running, all of this right here. If none of these are true, none of these are right, then it's going to go to this else. It's going to skip all that stuff and go to the else, and the system.out.println value is going to be the words players will have to try again. If players have to try again, then it's going to go up here and loop and do that whole thing all over again. All right, so let me double check that all that's right. Okay, that's setting all the Booleans to false. Then we're using math random to come up with a target number. Then we're putting a text out that's saying I'm thinking of a number between 0 and 9. And then we're going to say what that number is, what the target number turned out to be. Then we're going to run that p1.guess, p2.guess, p3.guess. We're going to spit out what the P1 guess was. We're going to spit out what player 2 guessed. We're going to spit out what player 3 guessed. And then if player 1 is equal to target number, we're setting it the Boolean to true, or the same thing with 2, or the same thing with 3. If any of them are right, we're going to get the printout that we have a winner, and then we're going to ask if player 1, player 2, and player 3 got it right and put the value true or false. Printout game is over. If none of them are right, then the player will have to try again. It will jump back up and keep on continuously. It's going to continuously run that until we have a winner. I guess you have to just keep clicking it. So I went over all that code. Now I need to create those files. The first one is going to be player.java. That's this one right here. I got to create that in my Notepad++. So I'm going to hit File, Save As, of course saving it to my desktop initially. And I have to spell it the same way. Player.java. It's capitalized. Alright, and then what's the second one? Game Launcher with a capital G and a capital L. So let me create that one. File, Save As, Game Launcher.java. Again on my desktop. And what was that last one? Let me go back up to the top. Just Guess Game with a capital G and a capital G. Guess Game. So let's click here. File, Save As, GuessGame.java. Okay. Now, let me go to this. This third text area went to that third file. So I'm going to copy all of this. Public class guess game. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to go straight to guessgame.java, right click and paste. Save it. Now I'm going to go to the second area and I'm going to just do the text in the text area. I'm going to copy it, and that's for Game Launcher. Paste it into Game Launcher, save it, and now I need to find the first text area. right here, public class player. Copy that in, whoops, in my player.java, right click and paste. Now that it's in Notepad++, when I highlight a curly brace, it turns red and the matching curly brace shows up. So I can double check all my curly braces really quick. There's the outer and there's the inner one. And this one's kind of long. But this outer one, this last one, should highlight the very first in the very beginning, red, and it does. This public void start game, if I click by the pointy part and it's red, the matching one should be at the end of that. Okay, there's that. I'm going to click this one, see where that highlights. That's the while loop. Because if I have any of those placed in the wrong area, not matched up to a pair, there's a pair, then it won't run right. There's a pair, there's a pair, there's the pair for that if condition, and there's the else. So far it looks like my pairs are good. So let me hit save on all that. Okay, so now I have these 3 files on my desktop. Let me open up my command prompt and let me hit CD for change directory to desktop. Now I'm in my desktop. Which one of these do you think I want to run? Player.java, GameLauncher.java, or GuessGame.java? Well, the clue is where the public static void main string args is. That's what I want to run. So Game Launcher Java is what I want to compile. So I'm going to hit Java C, whoops, Game Launcher.java. Hit enter and hope we don't have any errors. Oh good, it compiled cleanly. So let me minimize this and see how many classes that created. Perfect. I've got player.java, GameLauncher.java, and GuessGame.java, and it automatically created my corresponding classes. So it's looking good. No errors. Let me just key in Java Game Launcher without the .java and hit enter. Now it says I'm thinking of a number between 0 and 9. The number to guess is 4. That means that the math.random actually guessed 4. I'm guessing 8. I'm guessing 4. I'm guessing 6. This ran the player 1, player 2, and player 3 .guess method, and then we spit out player 1 guessed 8, player 2 guessed 4, player 3 guessed 6, and because one of them actually matched the target number, we have a winner. Player 1 got it right, false. Player 1 guessed 8. Player 2 got it right, true, because player 2 guessed 4, which was our target number. Player 3 got it right, false, because player 3 guessed 6. Game is over. Pretty cool. Let's actually hit our up key and compile it. No, we don't have to compile it again. Let's just run it again, the Java game launcher. Now you see this time it's much longer because it just kept going and going and going until, I can't make this bigger, until one of the 3 players actually guessed it. The first target number was 2, and the player 1, 2, and 3 guessed 7, 3, and 5, and then it shows you that. It says players will have to try again. Number to guess is 2. Oh, I guess it keeps the same number. It doesn't reevaluate a target number. It makes them keep going until they guess that first target number. So the second set of guesses was 0, 8, and 3, and it tells you also that 0, 8, and 3 were what they guessed. And then it tells you players will have to try again. Then it tells you again the number to guess is 2. Then player 1, 2, and 3, one of them got it right. It was 6, 2, and 0. So player 2 actually guessed the right number. And then it spits it out and tells you that. And it says we have a winner. Player 1 got it right, false. Player 2 got it right, true. Player 3 got it right, false. Game is over. And that's it.